Well, here we are at another episode of Reign of the Seven Spellblades, and as it gets closer and closer to the end of the season, we're in the final stretch of Rescue Pete as far as this last arc is concerned. It's very interesting in the midst of all of this that our heroes are actually in a training arc, if you will. So here we are as they are trying to go through the second lair to find Pete, who's been captured, and Miligan is actually trying to help them in fighting creatures, magical beasts, and all the other stuff. Now the case is they are first year students, so of course they are not used to fighting all these creatures and stuff. So it helps to have an upperclassman like Miligan, who used to be an enemy, helping them out as far as, all right, here are different tactics. You got to utilize what you can, go about this way, do this, and I'll play support. So she's really taken on as this master student role, if you will. Now, I'm still unsure how things are going to turn out because, like I said, the last episode, she had death flags out the wazoo. Now, this episode, honestly, not really too much meat and bones as far as that's going on this episode. There's a few things that I will touch on as we go through this. One, this fight was actually pretty cool. As at first I thought this was just a creature, a magical creature that they had to deal with, kind of like the gorilla beast, but come to find out this was one of Salvador's chimeras, which is like, oh, this grasshopper looking thing is pretty big, and makes sense that it was made by her because apparently areas where you think is its weak spot or where it would be weak in are vital areas where it will attack from, which makes sense. If you're a human being and you kind of make a creature, you're kind of going to understand like, all right, its underbelly is probably going to be its weak spot. Let's make a surprise attack from there, as a human created creature, if you will, which is what happened in this episode, which Oliver almost looked like, oh man, we just lost Oliver, but Oliver is one step ahead, using the creature's own skin as a shield to take it out, which was mighty smart on his part. Also, I thought it was actually pretty cool that his lookout, or the girl that it's not really his spy, but essentially the girl that is looking over him as his servant, is still around him and actually following them down here, which I was actually shocked that she's still covertly following them, that even the only Oliver can actually detect her and such. So after talking with her, now that the coronation has happened, he is the true Lord and Master that she will obey and listen to. And she gets a kick off the fact that he orders her around. You can kind of see she kind of blushes, and it's like, when he gives her orders, she's like, oh yes, please, I will happily do it for you, Master. But just like, okay. But she has some skill, because here he was all like, yeah, scout ahead and let me know if anything dangerous shows up. But then later, here she is. Miligan's like, that's weird. There's normally some magical beasts around here. And then Oliver kind of looks over, and then this girl is just decimated and killed at least one magical beast that we know of. But the way Miligan is saying, it sounds like she might have taken out a lot more of that, which is actually quite hilarious. And give it up for that little sword that she has. Totally looks different than the swords that like Oliver has and such, which makes me wonder, is she from a different, not necessarily race, but is it a special sword that is kind of descended upon her or family or something? Because she looks a little young to have something special like that, but maybe her skill makes up for it. Kind of like in the Now, how if you notice the Now's sword is longer than Oliver's and all the rest, because their sword is almost like a magical wand as well. But several characters that are actually able to wield swords themselves is kind of longer. So it makes me wonder whether or not, we don't know too much about her right now, which is probably on purpose, which will probably be something we will learn in the future, especially when we know more about Oliver's history and his mother, or the one he's trying to get revenge for. That was probably going to be a next season thing, which I wish I knew everything now, but whatever, I guess I'll wait, unless they decide to do on the final episode. Let's talk about this moment right here. Now, this moment was absolutely a crazy moment because Miligan kind of talks to Oliver on the side after he's had this victory over the magical beast. And she's like, "You intrigue me, sir." Now he's like, now I can understand she's special because of where she's from. And of course, well, she doesn't know she's an elf girl, but she knows that the other girl is very important because of her heritage and such. But she's like, "Oliver, you're really average." And it's like, you're exceedingly average, no special skill, and yet somehow she says on par with the other two, but honestly, to me, he's even better than the other two. So she's like, "That's really weird," which leads me to believe that something happened in your past to make you this way. You would have to have gone through a real tragedy to propel you to be so good. And of course, it was immediately he cuts these eyes at her. I was like, dang, that was like a death stare right there. Like, oh, like, is she gonna find out some secret that he has to cut her down now? It's like, oh my God, he's ready to cut her. He's ready to kill her. And then she's like, "I'll leave it alone, but I just wanted to ask, that's all. Let's go find Pete." Which I thought this, their discussion about Pete and what to do about Pete and why. And she's of course like, "Why? Why do you like Pete so much?" And he's going off the history that we know of, kind of flashbacks, but it's like, okay, cool. But then this moment, Oliver went serious mode. Like, we're, talking and everything, but then, wait, what a minute? Hold up. You treading on the wrong territory, girl. And thankfully the subject was changed because I straight up was like, ooh, Oliver gonna get you, girl. You better watch out. And finally, what in the absolute world is wrong with Albright? This dude right here has got to be the dumbest smart person I know, because he figures out that Pete is like, "Oh, why aren't you affected by this perfume that's weakening me? Wait a minute. You must have turned to a girl. Okay, I get it." But here, dude just straight up stabs himself, looks like in the stomach region, pulls out some pearls, and he's like, "These things will do things that you can use to save you, but be careful because she'll kill you if she knows your true secret." But like I said, it was smart for him to embezzle these orbs that actually do stuff in his body. And it's gotta be that these aren't in his stomach. At first I thought they were in his stomach because I'm like, oh, if it's in his stomach and he just pulled them out. But if they're in his stomach, all you have to do is just throw up and regurgitate the pearls out and they'd be useful. They gotta be like in his intestines or something. Somewhere deeper than your stomach. You can't just instantly regurgitate. So regardless, he like self-harms himself to pull out these pearls for Pete to use to save everyone, or basically one of the orbs actually will send out a signal, which was actually good because even though they're on the third layer, they don't know where the workshop is. So by letting everyone else know, they will be able to come to the rescue. But dude, it's smart to save it inside your body, but come on, like, he is literally in a dire strait now. Before, he was all fine and it's like, oh, my energy's being sapped, so we need to find a rescue and all this, that, and the other. But now that he's opened up a wound into his body and he's bleeding out, he has literally made himself like, I need medical attention or I'm going to die now. So what he was really to be gung-ho and being right and erase their memories in their duel. But now that he's like, oh man, I might die. Okay, let me make it easier. He just stabs himself. But regardless of that fact, those pearls will definitely be useful and probably what it will be used in maybe next episode as far as to help the upperclassmen and even Oliver's team find the workshop. And the next episode is actually called Salvadori, so we'll probably learn more about Miss Salvadori's history, backstory and stuff. and then I'm sure some fighting is going to ensue. But with only 2 episodes left in the season, I mean, this definitely will be resolved, but what more are we going to find out? I mean, it's definitely going to probably be a huge fight scene, and more than likely, it would not surprise me if the Now's Spellblade gets released, and I wonder if it's going to be a revelation to everyone. But the biggest thing is, what we did learn in this episode is the fact that the scout for Oliver was saying, hey, it's getting close to the time where you need to start taking out the next teacher or your next target. So that's why she's trying to help. She's like, let me help you so we can get this resolved faster. But we might be having a fight here soon, but unfortunately, the way that things are going, this might be a season 2 thing. And I can't wait though, because already we're into season 1 and I'm liking everything that's happening thus far, that I'm really excited for season 2. If it gets greenlit and shows us, we might even have a lot more teacher fights, if you will. I don't know. There's no way to know for sure, but we will find out in the future. But aside from that, okay episode, I will say. Still feels like they're stretching things out, and it's good that Oliver and his team is learning more things, but I really want to get into the meat and bones of how this is going to be resolved and into the whole Oliver and his cohorts and what they do with the next teacher that they're going to target, which we don't know which one is the next target. So, oh man, it already gives me chills just thinking about it. But aside from that fact, I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis and hope it was something that you learned through this. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe for definitely helping me out in this channel. And leave a comment down below what you guys think as far as the anime and what's going to happen in the future, whether you know or not. I do appreciate you guys' comments because I do like hearing what you guys have to say. As long as you don't share any spoilers, I do like the fact, hey, and we were even right. The fact is, Pete was a female, not affected. Score. But you guys take care, be safe, and I will see you next time, next week, as we talk more about this anime and several others. Have a good one. Bye-bye for now. Make sure to check out the extra content on our Patreon page, and thanks to our current patrons.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.